What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Mr. Stephen Wright. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. William Monroe. Will, how are you doing, friend?
Doing pretty good over here, buddy. How are you?
I can't complain. I can't complain at all. How is the quarantine treating you? The
Not too
lockdown.
bad. Yeah, not too bad. Luckily, I am able to work from home. So consider myself lucky to be able to do both of those. And, be able to enjoy some of this nice weather here, at least hanging out back. It was in the 60s here today.
Yeah, I've seen a meme going around of, it says like at the top, like your typical April when it's like snow all over the place. It says April when everyone's on lockdown. It's like a beautiful outside.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, it sucks. You been watching any interesting shows or playing any interesting games in your lockdown days here?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out what to do, right? So I got a list of a couple shows. I just started watching Lil Dicky's new show called Dave.
Okay,
It's on
cool.
FXX. I think that one's pretty funny. It's got like a Entourage / Curb Your Enthusiasm feel to it. Pretty witty. Another one I just started watching on Netflix is The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is actually surprisingly really dark.
Huh, what's it about?
So you've probably seen in like the 90s Sabrina the Teenage Witch show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that premise, but instead of being like a sitcom, it's like a scripted kind of like, True Blood type of like level of dark scenery
okay.
and everything around it. Yeah. And it's just, her starts with her, she's 15 and she has to kind of decide which world she wants to enter, the witch world or the normal world. And so it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. We've been
Yeah.
watching a show on Netflix called The Last Kingdom,
Ooh,
which
what's that about?
is it's got like a Game of Thrones vibe to it.
Mhm.
And it's based in, I don't know what century it is, but it's back with like Vikings in England and when the Vikings were invading England all the time and that kind of time period. So like I say like it's a mix between like Game of Thrones but like toned down, so not
Mhm.
like long storylines, they're quicker storylines, but the same kind of like political intrigue with some like fighting and war mixed in. But it's also kind of like doing like an RPG game, but doing like all the side quests and just avoiding the main quest line.
What the storyline is, right? It's not like a build your own story TV show.
Yeah, so he like his main goal was to like he got kicked out of like he was supposed to inherit this town city thing, and his uncle like cast him out. So his whole goal was to get back there and take it all, but he's met up with the king of Wessex. He's been helping him, and then he like keeps getting caught up in all these side things. So like
Huh.
we're 3 seasons in, and they have like he keeps mentioning wanting to go back and take this place. It keeps coming up, but he's like nowhere close to going back there. So it's literally like doing all the side quests, and just eventually we'll get to the main story. If I think one day.
It seems like Daenerys Targaryen, the entire
Kind of,
series of
yeah.
Game of Thrones. She keeps getting
Kind of,
pulled on side quests.
yeah,
It's
pretty
pretty
much
good.
that.
You been doing anything
Yeah,
else
that's
other
cool.
than watching shows? Anything else you guys been getting into?
No, because I'm still at home, so I don't have like my gaming computer or anything. I've been playing a lot of Retro Brawl on my phone, which is normally a paid football game, but when the quarantine happened, they made it free. I don't know if that's like permanent or what, but
Huh.
it's like a pixel football thing, where you're like half playing and half managing like a small roster. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I just
Yeah, it's simple.
been trying to read more. I just started reading the Jurassic Park book. I think it's from like the late 80s, early 90s originally written, but that was really good.
Yeah, I know I should read. I just hate it. I really hate reading. But what I do enjoy doing is mock drafting. So,
Hey.
Will, what's our scoring format and where are we drafting today?
We are 12-team half-point PPR this go around, and we've flipped it up. I am on the 111, and Steve, you are the 106.
Indeed, and as a reminder for our normal like roster format. We got one quarterback, two running back, two wide receiver, a tight end, two flex. The flex can be anything: running back, wide receiver, tight end, and six bench spots. Okay, well, so how about we go ahead and get everything started? We did check the ADPs, and it does look like we are going to be playing with 2020 ADPs this week, which is a big relief.
Yeah, glad to not see Antonio Brown going in the second round this time. Hopefully.
Yeah, right. Fun experiment, but I don't want to do it again. So
Yeah.
we will go ahead and get everything started here. Off the board first, we had no surprise here. We had Chris McCaffrey, but we did have two wide receivers go. Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins,
Hmm.
followed by Kamara and then Barkley. So yeah, that's interesting. We're used to the three running backs going off in a row. So a little bit
Yeah,
of a
interesting to
change of
see
pace.
Barkley fall. I know you and I were talking about Kamara, where he may fall or where he'll end up this year, but kind of you'd assume Barkley goes, still at that second spot.
Yeah, you would think so. Quite an interesting turn of events. So for me on the board here at the running back position, we got Dalvin Cook, Zeke, Chubb, Mixon, Fournette. At wide receiver, we got Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Julio, Godwin, Evans. We got all our tight ends and all our quarterbacks. Not really considering any of those right now. I will go ahead and play it safe for now, and I will go ahead and grab a running back. And for me, it's between Cook and Elliott. They're neck and neck, so we're kind of nitpicking when it comes to selecting between the two. But I do worry a little bit, not that much, but a little bit that Alexander Matson could take a little bit of work off of Cook this
Mhm.
year. So I will go ahead and grab a Mr. Zeke Elliott as my first pick. After my pick went Devontae Adams, Dalvin Cook, Tyreek Hill, and Nick Chubb. And now you are on the board, my friend.
Yeah, it's interesting mix there. Julio is the top of the board, and is redraft, but even dynasty, you don't mind having Julio. I think he's got a few good years left. So this year, I definitely think he's a first round pick. Maybe right here at the turn he goes. Mixon is definitely an option for me, but I think I like Julio more than most of the other receivers. Maybe Godwin there. So I'm gonna go Julio, and we'll see what spins back here to me. You got Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs go off the board. Probably the two running backs I would have went with. I'm not a huge Fournette fan, as you and I spoke about. Got Henry, got not Adam Jones, Aaron Jones. Wow, Pac-Man throwback there.
Wow, yeah.
Wrong side of the ball too. We got Melvin Gordon still there, running back, Gurley, and kind of falls off there after that. I probably wouldn't be looking at any of them. Not really looking tight end this early or quarterback, so probably going to try out the back-to-back receiver.
Well,
And
if you take a look at the receivers, Mr. Antonio Brown's up there.
22. He couldn't get out of the second round.
Yeah, which is weird because he's got like stats built in and no bye week.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there, but we will not escape Antonio Brown on this mock up.
No, we'll have to have like a celebration when he passes AJ Brown and when they pass each other in the
Yeah, in the
order.
ADP.
AJ's 57, so not too far off. You only imagine a
Yeah,
few weeks of drafting and him not
yeah.
being drafted.
Maybe the next mock.
Yeah, but yeah, here looking at receiver and being that it's if it's standard, maybe because we got Chris Evans and Chris Evans, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Man, I could draft Captain America,
I know,
first
right?
round
Wow.
pick, easy. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are the top two on the board there, so obviously same team. I just think if it's standard, maybe I look at Mike Evans a little more, but anything PPR, you know, Godwin likely just lined up for that Edelman role there with Tom Brady. And I'm at this point constructing my current dynasty team where I do have Julio and Chris Godwin, so we'll see how far that goes. But we'll go Chris Godwin here off the board after that. Fournette, Jones, Melvin Gordon, and Lamar Jackson, messing up your previous draft there, taking Lamar early.
Yeah, I briefly thought about it, but I guess that thought is gone. Uh, and no surprise there. Your first quarterback going off the board. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, maybe mid-second. I kind of expect him to go a little bit higher than that, but at the end of the day, kind of expected him to be gone. So now we are looking at running backs: Derrick Henry, Todd Gurley, Devonta Freeman's up here again. He's got stats filled out. It's so weird.
I
Carson,
mean,
Miles Sanders,
you
Bell.
assume will have some stats this year because I assume he's going to play.
I assume, but he needs a team.
Yeah, this is true. I assume he gets team before AB does.
And maybe that's the pattern. We have some of these high ranking guys that are still free agents that don't have teams. Like Lamar Miller's up here at 67. So maybe it has something to do with free agency and something's like bugged in their system there. But either way, he will not be considered. On the wide receiver side, we have Mike Evans, Kenny Galladay, Amari Cooper, Cooper Cup, and Keenan Allen. We got all our tight ends and then all our quarterbacks outside of Lamar Jackson. So I don't really know what I want to do. Part of me wants to gamble a little bit and grab a wide receiver. The other part of me says just play it safe. This is the first mock, and let's kind of see how things fall. Just grab another running back, and I think that's where I'm going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and just grab Derrick Henry. I'm kind of surprised to see him this low.
Yeah, half
As of right
PPR,
now.
but still, I mean, I kind of shouldn't
Yeah, that
affect him too
must be
much.
it. But I would take him over Gordon, Jones, Fournette easily.
Yeah, you think? I mean,
Um,
outside of Fournette, he's the most bell cow of them all, and
yeah,
it seems like he's on the better offense than Fournette is.
indeed. So I'm sure it's something we'll see as the ADP changes throughout the year. But I'm going to go ahead and lock him in. Zeke and Derrick Henry is something that's kind of hard to pass up. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to lock him in here. We had Mike Evans. There goes Antonio Brown there at the 2-9. Then we had Travis Kelce, Keenan Allen, and Amari Cooper to round out the second round. And then we had Cooper Cup, George Kittle, Todd Gurley, Pat Mahomes, and Kenny Galladay go off at the 3-10, which sucks. I really wanted Kenny to get back to me.
Yeah,
But
that would have been nice.
yeah, what can you do? So running backs, we're looking at Chris Carson, Miles Sanders, Love Bell, James Conner, and Devin Singletary. At the wide receiver position, we're looking at Lockett, Thielen, DJ Chark, Boyd, Debo Samuel. Most of our tight ends, most of our quarterbacks still available. So I will go ahead and again, it's kind of a tough decision. I'm not in love with the wide receivers here. But adding like a Miles Sanders here, or even just like a safe volume play and Love Bell
Mm-hmm.
is kind of attractive. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start with the three running back approach and see where that carries me. Hopefully, we
Yeah,
can find value later. But I'm going to go ahead and lock in Mr. Miles Sanders and make sure he doesn't get back to you.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. So after me goes Love Bell, Devonta Freeman, Tyler Lockett, and then TJ Shark. So you are on the board, friend.
All right, so top of the board here we got Chris Carson at running back, along with Connor Singletary, Kerryon Johnson, Austin Eckler, Montgomery. Wide receivers, be more of a luxury pick here, but would be able to construct a pretty nice receiving core. We got Adam Thielen, Tyler Boyd, Debo Samuel, Ridley, T.Y. Hilton, and Allen Robinson. Still got Ertz, Mark Andrews there at tight end, and Watson, Wilson, Murray, Rogers. At this point, I'm looking. I don't think he'll get back to me after this next pick. So right now, out of the receivers, or out of the running backs, Austin Eckler sticks out the most. Carson and Connor, as much as I do like them, the half PPR kind of it gives Eckler a little bit of a boost. But then Thielen and Boyd stick out as well for the wide receiver side. But I think here I'm gonna gamble and I'm gonna go early here and go with Zach Ertz to pair with Julio Godwin.
Okay.
Give myself top end receivers and tight end, and with the guy behind me currently having Mixon and Jacobs, feel like I'll still be able to have kind of my pick of the litter at the running backs available. So we'll go Ertz here.
I feel like you're going to be pounding rookie running backs.
Yeah, that's usually the case there when you look early on guys. So we got Zach Ertz, and then after that, Thielen and James Conner go. Wasn't a huge fan of Connor, so I'm more than okay with that happening. If we look back, Tyler Boyd is someone that intrigues me, especially with the potential of Burrow coming in. So that is intriguing, but knowing that I wouldn't be able to get a running back at all until the next pick would be, end of the fifth there, so close to 60 is not great. There's not too many running backs that I love left. Chris Carson is good, coming off injury, Singletary, Karen Johnson. A lot of guys that I think situations would be cleared up after the draft, right? Some all three spots that people have said maybe a running back being taken. Well, we're gonna go with my gut there, and we'll go Austin Eckler here, upside guy, and see what kind of other players get back. So we got Tyler Boyd, Chris Carson, Calvin Ridley, Devin Singletary. To you.
I'm very much considering going with another running back and starting with four running backs.
You can start all four, so.
I can, yeah, with our two flex spots. I mean, just the
Mm-hmm.
appeal of doing Zeke and Henry, and then Miles Sanders and On or Montgomery or Ingram or Mack in the flex spot. Like that's just there's so much as of
Mm-hmm.
right now safety in that lineup that it should counter any the running back or the wide receivers that I draft later. But we'll give a rundown. I kind of just at the wide receiver side, we got Debo Samuel, we got T.Y. Hilton, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Michael Gallup, DK Metcalf. So a lot of good options. But I really am really stuck on doing another running back. So it is a tough pick. I know we've always liked Carry On,
Mm-hmm.
but what's his year going to look like? David Montgomery, we drafted in the Dynasty League. He's got a ton of opportunity. We've also now traded him away in the Dynasty League. So
Yeah.
he's, a scary kind of option, but again, could have a lot of upside. Mark Ingram feels like a safer option. Maybe he starts falling apart towards the end of the year, slowing down because he's kind of old. And then, Marlon Mack's a big risky kind of option where, he's had some health issues. He's pretty solid, but does Rivers coming in give him any added pass catching? I don't know. I am going to grab a running back, and I think I'm going to just play it safe, and I'm going to grab Ingram as just kind of like a steady flex guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Decent
Yeah,
upside.
solid four running backs there.
It is. It is. So we'll see what I can do at the wide receiver position. But after me, we had Kerryon Johnson, Debo Samuel, Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, and Robert Woods rounding out the fourth round. To start the fifth, we had Marlon Mack, Michael Gallup, T.Y. Hilton, A.J. Brown, and D.K. Metcalf. So unfortunately for me, quite a run on wide receivers. We had 10 picks, and 7 of them were wide receivers. So, and then I sit here, and Kenyon Drake's on the so I
Yeah.
could have grabbed like Allen Robinson and then paired him with Drake, which is probably what I should have done. But
Mm-hmm.
what can you do? So at the wide receiver position, we have Stefan Diggs, we have Landry, we have Sutton, we have DJ Moore, and we have Christian Kirk.
Some
This
good
is
options still there for you. I mean,
there
maybe you
are.
don't want any of them as your number one, but in this situation, having them as your number two isn't horrible.
Yeah, right. So it's kind of, who am I most comfortable with as my one? And I'll tell you right
Mm.
now, it's not Diggs. He might be the number one in Buffalo, but he's still got that kind of boom
No.
bust history. So I can't trust him. Um, Landry would probably be fine, but I feel like the potential exists in Cleveland for things to tilt back to OBJ and kind of hurt his value. So to me, it comes down to Sutton and DJ Moore. And these two are so dead even to me. And I typically go with Sutton when I'm comparing the two, but I think I'm going to take my shot with DJ Moore right now just because we have, and I'm not, but we have experience with Teddy Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm.
We know we can do. There's a possibility the lock comes in this year and just falls all over the place. So I will go ahead and I will grab DJ Moore now as my first wide receiver. Off the board after me is Landry, Deshaun Watson, and then Diggs and Sutton. So again, that wide receiver run continuing. It is to you, Will.
Yeah, when I was with the running backs there that I assumed would have gone, I was looking at maybe going with a receiver and then waiting to get one of those rookies, aforementioned rookies that you mentioned on the flip back. But I am excited to see that my gamble's paid off, and we have running backs on the board: Philip Lindsay, who you and I aren't thrilled about this year, but Kenyon Drake, whose ADP I can only assume will be much higher than this come draft season. But at the moment, I can help pull his ADP up here, and I will. So we'll go with Kenyon Drake and kind of see kind of best available after this. Maybe look to see. There's not any quarterbacks that I'm thrilled about. Russell Wilson isn't, wouldn't be bad, but I think, pounding that running back position or getting another good receiver. So we'll see what happens. Kind of takes Drake. Russell Wilson goes, and Philip Lindsay. After that, we have top of the board running backs Lamar Miller. There's Geis, Hunt, a couple rookies in Taylor and Swift. We have Sony Michelle. I have to double check that is David Johnson, not Duke Johnson. Coleman, Penny. So there's not anything thrilling there aside from a few rookies. If we look at the receiver position, still have Christian Kirk, Ian Green, Will Fuller, who is intriguing to me. If you have the ability to get him as your third or fourth this year, obviously health is a huge factor for him. But being that DeAndre's gone, he is the de facto number one, you'd think.
Yeah, probably. More interesting than that, Will.
Yeah, I'm looking down a little further.
OBJ and Juju are still available here in the six.
Yeah.
There's no way
And
this stands come
yeah.
season,
And I
but
was looking originally at Terry McLaurin, and then I looked a little further up, and yeah, Juju and OBJ still there. Don't know that I'll be able to pass either of them up, but let me look a little further down at the running backs because they're still there. No, just some rookies for the most part. Tight end, you still got Mark Andrews there, so that could be an intriguing option if he gets back to you. And then we got Kyler, who I would love to get this year, but I am doubting I'll ever have any Kyler shares just based on his ADP right now is 60.2, so right around where I'm picking, but I'm guessing that will shoot up once we get to draft season just with the Hopkins addition and the way people are going to hype up that team. So for me here, the debate is Beckham versus Juju. I think, at this point, since it is my third receiver, I can go for an upside guy. I've already got Godwin and Julio kind of set in stone. So we'll go with an Odell Beckham and pair that receiving core there. First flex option. I feel pretty good waiting on running back and ending up with Eckler and Drake. After me, Mark Andrews, Kyler Murray, Evan Ingram, and AJ Green.
yeah. So to give a rundown, in all the here at quarterback, we have Aaron Rodgers, Dak, Wentz, Josh Allen, and Matt Ryan. At running back, Lamar Miller is still there. Geis, Hunt, Jonathan Taylor, David Johnson. Wide receiver, we got Kirk, Fuller, Cooks, Hollywood Brown, and Juju, as well as Terry McLaurin, who you mentioned. And then at tight end, we did have a couple go off the board that you named, so we're stuck with Hooper, Henry, Waller, Fant, and OJ Howard's still up here, which is interesting. So is Delaney Walker, also interesting. And again, he's got stats filled out. So yeah, that's a free agent thing. So we will look at the wide receiver position. Quite obviously, OBJ would have been awesome to get back to me. I do like Kirk. I kind of like Fuller. He can't stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, I would like him a lot. Cooks is a bit of a gamble. So is Hollywood. So none of them feel super safe, which I kind of feel like I need some kind of safety. And I don't know if the general consensus is that he's safe, but I'm still perfectly fine with Juju as long as Big Ben's playing. I don't know if he'll get up to the wide receiver one or get hit all the hype that he was getting before, but I think he can still be a real solid option for me. Again, as long as Big Ben stays healthy, so I will go ahead and grab him here. If he hits, anywhere close to what he was before, then I've hit the jackpot of all jackpots in this draft, getting the 4 running backs that I did, and then DJ Moore and Juju at the wide receiver position. So hopefully that pays off. We will see. But after me, we had Austin Hooper, Kareem Hunt, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Miller, and Christian Kirk to round out the sixth round. And then at the start of the seventh, we had Hunter Henry, David Johnson, Will Fuller, Darren Waller, and Brandon Cooks. So now that I have like a full roster set here, I do feel more comfortable being flexible and kind of drafting wherever I want. At quarterback, we have all the same guys I named before outside of Aaron Rodgers. So some solid options with Dak Wentz, Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, uh, Cousins, Mayfield, Jimmy G, Goff. So still a lot of options there.
Mhm.
It is getting thinner at tight end. So I'm curious what me and you are going to start looking towards at the tight end position, but I'm still seeing a lot of good options. Fans on the board that I like. I know you like Goddard. He's there. Jared
Mhm.
Cook's there. Gasicki's there. Hawkinson's there if you want to take that shot. Higby's there. Johnny's there. Jack Doyle. So there's still quite a few nice tight end options that I would gamble on. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at the running backs. We have Geis, Jonathan Taylor, Sony, Swift, and Coleman. I will go ahead and just take another shot on a running back. Never have too many, and then maybe aim for another wide receiver in the next round. Um, I will go ahead and place my shot on a rookie. I will grab Jonathan Taylor here. Just given Geis's injury concern, you know I know his situation's known. He's the starter, but with the injury history, I'd rather place my bet on Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure he'll land in a pretty good spot. So he'll be my fifth running back here. After me goes Sony Michelle, DeAndre Swift, and Darius Geis. So a little bit of run on the running back position, and then Carson Wentz right before you, Will.
Yes, you started a little bit of a run there, huh?
Indeed, trendsetter.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remembered, but I did take a tight end earlier, so you didn't have to worry about me
Oh yeah, you
grabbing a
grabbed
tight
Ernst.
end
Right,
for you.
right, right.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
fair.
hoping you would take a tight end, so then I could point that out to you. But I did. You did not. So yeah, I was looking at a couple of the guys there. Obviously, Swift. And once you were taking Taylor, I was looking at maybe a Swift or a Dobbins. And then was potentially looking at Wentz in this round as well. But I think, after he goes, you have Dak, Josh Allen, Matt Ryan. We'll see where Cam ends up. There's still a couple of guys that I'd be more than happy to take a little bit later. So we'll hold off and we'll look at the receiver position. A guy like Terry McLaurin there still intrigues me. I think as the fourth receiver on the team, I'll be pretty thrilled to get him. I know he did well with, really not much at quarterback, and seems to he'll have likely the same thing, but he'll, be on a team that, likely it's probably not going to be winning too many games. So the game script should be in his favor as well, with not too much competition for targets either. So we'll go Terry McLaurin and see if I can get, one of the other running backs to fall down to me here. We got Marquise Brown and James White on the turn there. So looking back, I will take my shot on the next rookie here, and we'll go J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, solid option.
N'Keal Harry, Tim Coleman, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. If you were looking for a wide receiver, a rookie wide receiver, the top two are gone.
Yeah, well, they're not my top two because I tend to not draft rookies, so I am okay with
Yep.
this. The rest of the board, there is somebody jumping out at me. We'll kind of just scroll through the wide receiver positions to see if there's any other nice values like we saw the OBJ
Mm-hmm.
and Juju stuff. So we got Devontae Parker, we got Julian Edelman, Mike Williams, John Brown, Marvin Jones, Sterling Shepard, Curtis Samuel, Alshon, Miko, Watkins. So that kind of tier of player. I'm not super high on Parker. I think he'll be pretty good, but not as good as he was at the end of the year. Edelman's now missing Brady, so I'm not super high on that. Mike Williams has quarterback questions as well. Um, John Brown could be solid. I think he's better fit for a wide receiver two type player. Maybe like an Eric Decker. When Decker was the one, he wasn't as good, but when he has somebody in front of him, he was a pretty good fantasy player. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe something like that would be good for John Brown. But the player I really want is Marvin Jones. Uh, Pretty safe guy. Really big believer in Stafford. at the end of the day. He was pacing out for like 5,000 yards last year. So I don't see any reason that changes unless carry on starts becoming the carry on that everyone dreams he will. So I will take Marvin Jones, get a lot of chunk yardage there, and take a little bit of a gamble here. But at the end of the day, he's still just a bench kind of guy for me. So I will take my shot there at the wide receiver position. After my pick, there goes Dak Prescott. We have Devontae Parker, Rashad Penny, Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, Matt Breida, starting with the ninth round, Julian Edelman, Mike Williams, John Brown, and Ronald Jones. So kind of a mix of players there. I'll give you a quick rundown of all of the positions. So at the quarterback position, we have Cam Newton, Kirk Cousins, Baker, Winston, Garoppolo, Goff, Breeze, oof, Darnold, Daniel Jones, Stafford still down there, Brady. So some solid quarterbacks there. At the running back position, we have Damian Williams, Royce Freeman, Daryl Henderson, Alexander Matson, Latavius Murray, Raheem Mostert. At wide receiver, Sterling Shepard, Curtis Samuel, Alshon, Miko Harmon, Sammy Watkins, Darius Slayton, Robbie Anderson, and then at tight end, haven't seen a lot of movement here in 2 rounds. We still got Noah Fant, OJ Howard, Delaney Walker, Dallas Goddard, all the people I named a while ago, still on the board. So that is tempting, but I have something in mind at tight end. So I'm going to pass. I have a lot of flexibility here. I think I'm going to go back to the wide receiver position and just grab someone else. The problem is, I'm not in love with anybody here at this ADP. Shepard's solid, but I would almost rather have Slayton. Alshon's old. He's still going to be the one for his team unless the Eagles can end up with Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb or something. So he's still the one for now. Miko Hardman's tampered down now that Watkins is re-signed. So I'm really not in love with a lot that's going on here. But I'm going to grab one anyway, and I will put my money where my mouth is and grab Darius Slayton. I could probably wait around and he get back to me. I know you like him as well, so maybe not. But I will go ahead and grab him. A bit of a reach, but I am okay with that. So there goes a tight end. Noah Fant, Sterling Shepard, Kirk Cousins, Royce Freeman, and the pick is to you.
So I'm actually down to 2 running backs that I was looking at here. Both have question marks for how much work they're going to get on the year, but kind of coming from different angles. And they're actually the top 2 on the board, running back wise. We have Damian Williams and Daryl Henderson. Going into this year, coming out of last year, I think everyone assumed both of them would not be the starters on their team. Everyone still kind of widely assumes Kansas City will be taking a rookie. But as of now, it's still Damian Williams. So depending on how high they take that rookie, Damian Williams likely is still going to have a role there. The other is, as I mentioned, Henderson. He very well likely could take over as the lead back. We don't know. Obviously, Malcolm Brown's probably the incumbent there to get the early carries, but I think it's going to be pretty much a split backfield. Being that I probably need a little more upside. I'm pretty good with Eckler and Drake, and then we'll see kind of where Dobbins goes. I'm going to go with a Daryl Henderson here, and we'll see. Maybe Damian Williams gets back. The guy behind me had a lot of running backs.
So Will was Raheem Mostert, because when you
Mostert is there,
mentioned
he's a little further down.
he kind of fits into the same situation of like you really don't know what he's going to get, but potential high upside.
Yeah, and I think do we know how many backs are still on the roster right now? Because I know that barring injury, you got Breda, you got Coleman, Mostert, and then likely McKinnon coming back, right?
McKinnon is back, yeah, and then Jeff Wilson's still on the roster too, I believe.
And possibly a running back in the draft. I don't know
Maybe.
why after we named all of that, but everyone seems to clamor that they are a spot where people where a running back could be taken.
Yeah.
So and it's definitely someone that I looked at, but I think just the path is easier for Henderson and likely, just as high powered of an offense. Obviously last year wasn't the case, but I think that they get back into a rhythm to be, a top 12 offense at least, top 16, 12, somewhere around there. So I think the carries will be there more for Henderson. Obviously, Damien Williams is interesting as well, but I like the upside more of Henderson, whereas Williams is a little more safe. So kind of we'll go Henderson. If Williams goes, I'm okay to see what happens next. So we'll go Henderson and see what was taken. We got Curtis Samuel and Cam Newton going.
Oof.
So as I mentioned, both, yeah, I'm going to double down here and go with a safer running back as my fifth, and we'll go with Damien Williams. After that, Alexander Madison, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, so we are back on the board. We are in the 10th round. I still do not have a quarterback or a tight end.
Bold
A lot of
choice.
the quarterbacks at the ADP don't interest me a ton. Baker, Winston doesn't have a team. Jimmy Garoppolo, Goff. Breeze is there eventually. That's kind of interesting. Same thing with the tight ends. I got people in mind that I can wait on that
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather take a shot on. So I will go ahead and look to our wide receiver, running back positions here, and see what we want to do at at running back. We have Latavius Murray. We have Raheem Mostert, Jamal Williams, Duke Johnson. We have Cam Akers. We got Tariq Cohen, Justice Hill, and then at the wide receiver position, Robbie Anderson, D.D. Westbrook, Golden Tate, Manny Sanders, Anthony Miller, Paris Campbell, Corey Davis. So a lot of interesting options here. I do. I feel relatively safe at wide receiver with DJ Moore, Juju, and Marvin Jones. So I feel like I'm okay to take an upside shot. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach a little bit. He might get back to me in the next round, but I don't love anyone at the ADP here. So I'm going to reach for Anthony Miller. He was started breaking out the end of the year last year. If he can
I like
continue
that.
that, I've landed a good guy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I will go ahead and do that. Again, it might be a little bit of a reach, but I'm okay doing that, given that I don't like anything else. So after me, we had Jamal Williams, Baker Mayfield, Latavius Murray, Jameis Winston, Jimmy Garoppolo to round out the 10th. In the 11th, a tight end run. OJ Howard, Delaney Walker,
Uh-oh.
Dallas Goddard, and Njoku all in a row. Tariq Cohen then goes off the board to me. So I'll do a quick check on our tight ends. We have still Jared Cook, Mike Gesicki, TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Higbee, Rudolph, Janu, Jack Doyle, Hayden Hurst, Greg Olson, if that's where you want to take your shot, Ian Thomas, Dawson Knox. There's still a lot of options. So I will go ahead and just kick the can further down the road. And I will turn my attention to the running back position. And I will go ahead and, since it's been like a round and a half since we talked about him, I'll take my shot on Raheem Mostert. Maybe I will get the starting running back for one of the more prolific running teams in the league. I think it's more likely I'll get something more akin to what we saw last year, where he's kind of hard to
Mm-hmm.
predict.
Yeah,
But
you'd think at least 3 weeks this year you'll get the starting running back in that backfield.
yeah, right. But at the end of the day, he's my sixth. The likelihood of him even cracking the roster is
Yeah,
so.
it's or
Yeah,
even trade bait too for you there.
again, yeah, exactly. And maybe I don't know what the bye weeks. I haven't been paying attention to the bye weeks. Maybe I got two running
No.
backs bye week, and I can plug him in. So I will go ahead and grab Mostert there. Just add another running back. Then we had Tyrell Williams, Robbie Anderson, D.D. Westbrook, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire go off the board before you.
All right. So for me, I am looking at the receiver position now that I got 5 running backs, 4 receivers, and Zach Ertz. Always taking a glance at the running backs. Cam Akers is interesting. I know Edwards-Helaire just went. There's not too much else, that I really need to take a shot on there. So one guy that I'm looking at that I don't know if you mentioned, and I'm not sure exactly how you feel about him, but I think he's going to have a good year. Now as the number 2 to arguably the best receiver in the league, Michael Thomas, and that's Emmanuel Sanders. What are your thoughts on Manny?
When you said he's finally a 2, I thought you were going to bring up Corey Davis, and I was going to scream. I was going to scream. Will, I like Manny Sanders. I do worry because it feels like a long time since Breeze has supported another wide receiver
Mm-hmm.
outside of Michael Thomas. In fact, I don't Like I know Traquan had a couple good games a couple years ago, but I can't even remember who it was. Like I don't know if we're going back to the
Yeah,
days of
Tegan probably
yeah, maybe
decent, flex worthy,
yeah, going
but
back there or maybe even further back to when he had Colston as the one and that crew
yeah, but
behind Colston that would pop. But
and the facts are there, but then I'm also thinking, look at all the names we talked about, right? I
yeah, I
don't think we've
know.
ever had a guy that is as good as Manny as his number two. So
Yeah, that's the counterpoint. Yep.
yeah, it's kind of where I'm looking here. I'm pretty solid at Julio, Godwin, OBJ, and Terry McLaurin. So I think having Emmanuel Sanders as my fifth receiver would be very solid. And I am hoping that the guy behind me doesn't take his third quarterback because I'd love to pair him up with Drew Brees next year. And
There you
then
go.
there goes Cam Akers and the
Corey
aforementioned Corey
Davis.
Davis.
Shame on you, team.
And so at this point, I've only got 3 picks left. There's a couple quarterbacks. Breeze, Daniel Jones is okay. Matt Stafford, I think, is going to be a good one that I'm assuming you're going to be getting in the next 2 rounds. But yeah, I think Breeze is set for one more huge year, the best receiver in football. I would say Michael Thomas. You got Kamara, Jared Cook there, as we mentioned. Taking some touchdowns, and as my recently drafted Emmanuel Sanders. Don't put it past him, for taking another receiver or just at least a skilled player in the draft here. So for me, I'll lock in my quarterback, and this is kind of the beauty of waiting for quarterback for any new listeners here. Steve and I typically wait on quarterback and tight end. Usually if we are going to take one of them early, it's going to be the tight end. You'll see once in a while we go with an Ertz or Kittle, Kelsey in the first, 2 or 3 rounds. But very rarely will you see us take a quarterback, ahead of the 7th or 8th round. And that's why, you can load up. We've got 5 receivers, 5 running backs, and Zach Ertz all before I get Drew Brees here. So, just a little lesson that he and I believe in. So we'll see who goes off the board coming to you, Steve. We got Duke Johnson, Jared Cook, Jared Goff, and Sam Darnold.
And this, like, to me, we only got 3 picks left. And this is why part of me hates doing mock drafts early. Yeah, I know we're super early, but even like July, because I look at my team and I love it because of all these values that are around, and then by draft
Yep.
season they're gone. Like,
Yep.
I know we named off Breeze and Stafford, but Tannehill's still here too, like
Yeah.
who had
Yeah.
a great year last year. So you can really wait, and then like my tight end play, I'll probably be able to grab with my last pick. I will name him when we get there, but I don't see any reason for him to go off unless you grab 2. So I will go ahead and grab my quarterback now because I'm getting kind of antsy. And as you said, I will go ahead and grab Mr. Matthew Stafford. Daniel Jones is kind of a consideration. I think he could be an interesting play, but I'm not giving up the safety that I see in Stafford. I do have a little bit of an injury concern. Um, I know he's been the Iron Man outside of the first couple years of his career, and everyone's saying, well, he just had, the one injury year. But you got to remember the year before that, he finished the season and said he was playing with broken bones in his back. So he might have played, but he dropped off from a production standpoint and he was playing hurt. So he was hurt 2 years in a row. And both of them were back injuries, which is concerning. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this come draft season. I'm sure, we're half a year away. My mind's going to be in
Yeah.
a different place then. But for now, I'm taking Stafford, my old reliable friend here. Lock him in and get that position done with. We had Golden Tate, Moncrief go off the board. Paris Campbell, Justice Hill, Preston Williams there at the end of the 12th round to start the 13th. We have Jalen Regar. We got Deontay Johnson there in the 13th round. Pretty
Not a bad
awesome.
one. Yeah.
Daniel Jones, Carlos Hyde, James
And James
Washington.
Washington, both receivers there.
Indeed. So I'm back on the board. I will grab a running back or a wide receiver here. Running backs, we have Tony Pollard, Damian Harris, Jordan Howard, Naeem Hines, who we mentioned in the last podcast, Chase Edmonds, Jalen Samuels, AP, not in love with anything there. At the wide receiver position, we have Justin Jefferson, Andy Isabella, Arcega-Whiteside. We have Crowder, Ruggs, Auden Tate, Ross. And there's Perryman there. Might be a decent upside shot, I guess. But that's the kind of grouping we're in. There's a lot of rookies here. So given we're at the end, I'll go ahead and take my shot on a rookie and I'll grab Justin Jefferson. We'll see where his landing spot is. I'm really not that high on drafting rookie wide receivers, but the 13th round out of 14, I'm not going to pass that up. So I will go ahead and grab Justin Jefferson there as my last grab before a tight end. After me went Jordan Howard, Gesicki, Tony Pollard, and I don't even know how to say this name, Quintez Cephas.
I was hoping you would say it there. Yeah, maybe Cephas.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we talked about him the other day.
Yeah,
But
and I was looking at our Superflex mock that we did with the Fantasy Focus guys, and he didn't even get drafted. He wasn't even named. So it's interesting that we talked about just him as a potential guy that's up in the ADP here in this app. But
yeah,
yeah,
I
he
guess
wasn't even referenced in that
to
draft.
clarify, me and Will just ran the mock draft yesterday just to see kind of where everyone fell. And I forget if it
Mm-hmm.
was the 110 or the 111, but he went there. And we both had a pause of like,
Yeah.
who? Sorry.
Yeah. Come again.
Yeah, right. So interesting to see him here, but that's got
Mm-hmm.
something to do with sleepers ADPs, I assume. Yeah.
And then another thing to point out, as we kind of referenced for anyone that's a new listener, with taking our quarterbacks late. Another common thing that Steve and I typically don't do, but you see a lot of people do, is getting their handcuffs. Chase Edmonds, as Kenyon Drake is available here, right? So a lot of people would think you get your handcuff in case week one Kenyon Drake gets hurt. But the big thing for me is if I'm going to be loading up on running backs, I want to get as many guys that I can that are going to have that shot to blow up. And you're kind of handcuffing yourself right there because it's, as the name goes, I guess, it's you're just limiting your upside, right? Because it's a guy that you're probably not going to cut if everything works out with Kenyon Drake doing well. You'll want to hang on to him as your handcuff, but you want a guy there that, hey, you hope the first week or two he blows up. If not, you're fine to cut him. And then later in the year, as bye weeks are gone, that's when we will aim to try to pick up our handcuffs there. Anything to add, Steve?
No, that's dead on. When you're this late, we're looking for upside. That basically sums it up.
So as I say that, there's not too much I really like at the running back position. AP kind of sticks out, but I'm not thrilled about it because even if, let's say, best case scenario for him, Geis gets hurt again and Bryce Love isn't ready, and it's really just him um, and Peyton Barber. Still not thrilled about that and the offense there. So for me, I'm really looking at the wide receiver position, and there's a couple names that were interesting to me. Not really big on taking rookie receivers, but one name that sticks out just because I think he's got a very high ceiling and then potentially a low floor just because of the position and the way he plays is Henry Ruggs. We talked about him, potentially being like a Tyreek Hill, Deshaun Jackson before, because he does have that big breakaway speed. The risk for me there is that he is the guy that opens up the top, but maybe isn't consistent enough for a fantasy team. So the first guy that another guy that sticks out that I think has a little more boom bust, but I wouldn't mind cutting like Ruggs. I probably wouldn't want to cut if I drafted him. Would be Brashad Perriman, right? I can take him. If he shows that he is a top target there for the Jets, in the first week or two, then I'm thrilled to keep him on the team. If he doesn't flames out, I'm more than okay to cut him. The name value isn't really there that it is with the rookies that you're going to want to hang on to. So for me, we'll go Brashad Perriman here with the first pick. After him, TJ Hawkinson and Andy Isabella. And then this next one, Ruggs still sticks out, but I probably won't take him. Another guy that I kind of was looking at was Auden Tate. But you're really banking on AJ Green not doing much. Two names that I am debating between here, Steve. Two kind of hot names as well. Josh Gordon who, with I believe the new CBA, does not penalize you for smoking marijuana.
Okay.
So he maybe has a chance to play if he's, because that's what most of his suspensions are for, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, I will remind you
Let's
that he
see.
played a lot last year, a fair
Yeah.
bit anyway. It didn't do very much, but
No, exactly. But he's an upside guy. But the guy that I'll
yes,
probably go with here is Deshaun Jackson. Your boomer bust guy. It's going to be pretty easy because if we look at last year, he was great, and then he got hurt, and then you couldn't, and you were easy to cut him because he wasn't on the field. So a nice boomer bust guy there with Deshaun Jackson to end my draft. And after him goes his teammate J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Damian Harris, Jameson Crowder, Kyle Rudolph, and Steve. I hope you weren't aiming for Rudolph because he goes right before you as you need a tight end.
believe it or not, I was not aiming for Kyle. Oddly enough, like I like a lot of the tight ends here. Tyler Higbee, Johnny
That
Smith, Jack
one.
Doyle's not bad. Like there's some solid
Hig-
options here.
yeah, Higbee sticks out to me. I'm surprised. I feel like obviously Rudolph I wouldn't have taken over him. Even maybe, I mean, Hawkinson, I don't think I'd take over Higbee. Guys like Gesicki and Cook, even I think, are in Joku. Like, I think I would take him over most of those guys there.
Yeah, I would go way Rudolph, Gesicki, Hawkinson, not Jared Cook, but
Yeah.
Njoku, Goddard,
One.
Walker, OJ Howard, probably maybe even Fant.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that maybe like I think he's top 10 for me. Him
yeah,
and Fant are right at the bottom of that top 10.
yeah. So he seems like an obvious pick here, but I had someone in mind that I'd be drafting late, so I'm going to go ahead and draft that person. I'm curious on your opinion because I feel like he might be someone that we kind of fight over this year. So for those of you that were with us last year, you'll recall that me and Will had back and forth on Lamar Jackson, and we had back and forth on Mark Andrews. Those were
Mm.
again, Will said, we do late round quarterbacks, we do late round tight ends. Those were our two, and then we got to our work draft, and Will sniped Lamar Jackson. I
Mm-hmm.
sniped Mark Andrews, and then we got in the playoffs, and I sniped Will. So that's how that kind of played out, if memory serves. So I'm
If
wondering,
memory
Will,
serves. Yeah, but
the,
how's that title holding up?
yeah. So we're going to go to the tight end position here, and we're going to uh, we're going to grab Hayden Hurst.
Interesting.
And I'm curious if this is someone that you're interested in, if his ADP moves up to that like 10, 11 round, because Matt Stafford has a history with the tight end position. Hurst is a very highly drafted guy. So I'm really thinking that, did I say Stafford?
Matt
Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan. Yeah, I was gonna say you have
Yeah.
Matt Stafford, but
Yeah, I
don't think
do.
he'll be throwing to him.
He, he has a bad tight end history. So
Yeah,
and Matt Ryan has a good tight end history. So I'm thinking
much
he could
better.
get up to that 10, 11 range. And to me, he starts becoming interesting there. Again, I'd rather have Higbee, but this is my plan all along. So I'm going to go ahead and grab him. What do you think?
I think I'd rather go Higbee there, but based on what we expect to be there, I think that that's a good pick. Because I don't think Higbee should be there now, let alone come draft time. He'll be, somewhere in probably the 8 to 10 range. I imagine he'll be drafted as the eighth or between the, eighth and 10th tight end off the board, whereas Hurst is probably going to be there in those last couple rounds.
Indeed. So after me to finish out, we had Kobe Brissett, Naeem Hines, which is a good shot there at the end of the draft. Chase Edmonds. Then here's your boy Henry Ruggs, and then the final pick. It was a glorious one in CJ Anderson. So, Will, we will round out our teams. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. Ladies
S-
first.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so um, for my team at the quarterback position, we have Matthew Stafford. At the running back position, wait for it, folks, we have Zeke Elliott, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Mark Ingram, Jonathan Taylor, Raheem Mostert. At the running or wide receiver position, we have DJ Moore, Juju Smith Schuster, Marvin Jones, Darius Slayton, Anthony Miller, Justin Jefferson. And then at tight end, we have Hayden Hurst. Will, top that.
All right, easy. So the quarterback position, we got Drew Brees. At the running back position, Austin Eckler, Kenyon Drake, J.K. Dobbins, Daryl Henderson, Damian Williams. Then the breadwinners here, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham Jr., Terry McLaurin, Manuel Sanders, Sean Perriman, Deshaun Jackson, as well as Zach Ertz at tight end.
Very opposite approaches. You went
Yeah,
very
I
running
think
back, or I went running back. You went wide receiver. It's interesting.
I think that's a big reason why we didn't snipe each other for anybody, because we were going for opposite receivers per each round, or opposite positions.
Yeah, I do. If you look at the fifth round, Will, if I didn't go DJ Moore, I went like whatever. Say I grabbed a quarterback there, or say I grabbed Kenyon Drake. Would you have grabbed DJ Moore at 5'11"?
I
Even
was
though you,
looking at Sutton and Moore, and with Drake there, I probably would have had to taken him, but would have hoped to get him in the next round. But then I would have been thinking OBJ or DJ Moore. So I don't know.
yeah, I figured if there was any snipe, it was probably there, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
Miles Sanders. I grabbed in the third. That would have been a good first running back for you
Yeah, I was thinking
instead of
about him
Ertz.
there, but I kind of wanted to see what the Ertz would
Yeah,
Oh, I
that
guess
is.
that was coming back that way. Yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't have much of a chance there. And I figured that was going to be the case, because I liked, Henry, Sanders, even, maybe Gurley, but I couldn't take any of them in the second round, so had to wait.
Yeah, that is fair, man. So
Yeah.
that is going to wrap up the mock draft. Will, do you have any closing remarks?
No, not too much. Everyone stay safe out there. While you're bored, free to check out the Sleeper app to do some mock drafts. A sponsor of our podcast here, but is the app that we choose to use.
Yeah, maybe a sponsor one day.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Someday.
Yeah, that would be nice. So everyone, please give us a follow at Trust Your Board. Subscribe anywhere that you listen to the podcast, and you can check out our YouTube channel at Trust Your Board if you would like to follow along with the draft board. Thank you for listening. Always remember to trust your board.